Welcome back to Axis Anime. My name is Henshin Ikeda, and today I'll be doing a walkthrough review of Hakkenden 8 Dogs of the East, Episode 4. Now, if you remember from last episode, we find out Ryo, 5 years ago, actually saves both Sasuke and Shino from their near-death experience. Now, we also find out it's because of Ryo that Shino actually has Mizami to begin with. So, Ryo gave Shino Mizami, which is that crow which can turn into the katana. Just putting that out there. Now, we are taking to a different scene with Ryo. Now, he explains the only real reason why, Sasuke and Shino are at Central to begin with, besides trying to save Hamaji from being kidnapped, was to hunt down the other 6 beads and their owners. Now, I should also point out, Ryo gives Shino 2 different beads, one called Morality, and the other one's called Petty, and they belong to both Sasuke and Shino to begin with. So, it kind of makes sense, but I'm still left in the dark on really what Ryo's going to do once he gets all the rest of the beads and the owners together in one place, Now, of course, we are taken to a different scene with Ginpachi. Now, Ginpachi is fully demonized. He's now in demon form thanks to the Brotherhood. Now, I really don't understand why the Brotherhood would provoke, Ginpachi to begin with, but, to each their own. Now, Ginpachi is in a demon form, and he's now outside, and Shino catches wind of it, and he tries to lead Ginpachi outside of the village by playing tag, and now it's Ginpachi versus Shino. I can't wait to see where this fight was going to go. However, we are interrupted by the Brotherhood. They're going demon hunting, and they are flinging their arrows at both, Shino and Ginpachi. And it looks like Shino was about to be hit, and then Sasuke jumps right in and takes one for the team. And we find out both Shino, as well as Sasuke and Ginpachi, fall off the bridge and are now in the river. And that's where the episode ends. And I'll hold my final thoughts and rating at the end of the clip, so stay tuned. But let's dive right on in. So we open up this, brand new episode with Kanam and Hamaji. Apparently Hamaji is feeling a little worried about Shino and Sasuke in general. However, I thought this was kind of interesting because Kanam mentions to Hamaji, I think we should start looking into getting you into a school. I'm wondering why she's not staying around. Why are you showing Hamaji all these schools, or a school in general, and you want her to join? Apparently, Kanam points out both, Sasuke and Shino will be staying indefinite. I don't think that's your call. I think that's Ryo's call probably, but I guess that's where we actually stand there. So we are taking to a different scene with Sasuke and Shino. Now, they are in the river, technically. Now, they're on that little fuzzy monster with an eyeball. I'll get to that. His real name is at the end of this review and walkthrough, so definitely stay tuned for that. I thought it was an interesting name. But sorry, I digress. Now, I should point out, they're in the river, and they've been saved by this fuzzy monster, and they're all alive, technically. Sasuke, yeah, he's wounded, but he's still alive. As for Ginpachi is no longer in his demon form. He's a human, and he's passed out. And again, that's where we open up with. Now, moving on to a different scene, now we see Saren, and Saren's basically telling the Brotherhood to locate Shino to obtain Mersume. So, wait, Saren knows about the bird that can turn into a katana, and he's ordering the Brotherhood to find them. Why? We really don't know. What's the purpose? But anyways, that was an interesting scene in my opinion, but, clarification would work right now. So we're taking to a different scene with Kei, and we're at Kei's house. So everyone is now recuperating, Shino, Sasuke, everyone in general. So I thought, okay, so what's next? Apparently Shino notices Ginpachi. Yeah, apparently he's got that little scar, or should I say not a scar, but a birthmark. It looks like a flower-shaped birthmark that's on his little cheek. I'm like, okay, we don't really know what it symbolizes yet, so I was like, okay, so you point it out, but you really don't clarify what does it mean? So apparently Ginpachi, in general, is stunned to know that Shino is a human. At first he's like, you're a spirit. He's like, dude, I was born a human. Like, well, Shino, maybe you want to tell him as well that your family, or it's a tradition in your village, to dress up as a woman until you're 15. Trust me, it's going to have a lot of effect toward the end of this episode. But I'll get to that later on. So we are taken to a different scene with, Kei, and he's trying to tell Shino something in general. So we're thrown with a little information, just a little. So apparently 3 years ago, up north, there was a hostage situation, and apparently it had a lot to do with bandits in general, and they took, I guess, Kei's village as a hostage. Like, bandits took a whole village hostage, so I thought that was worth mentioning. But apparently Ginpachi was sent there as an officer of the military to deal with it. And guess what? Kei was serving as his private. Well, to each their own, private. I thought maybe he'd be a little higher up on the food chain like a staff sergeant, but that was my fault. I thought he might have been a higher ranked officer. And moving on past that, we do find out Ginpachi was actually sent there not only as an officer, but to watch out for the rest of his soldiers in general, because believe it or not, during the winter time, they started deserting. Like these trained officers, trained soldiers, they started just deserting each other. I'm like, well, what the heck? But the only reason why they deserted because of the wintertime, apparently amongst the hostages, there was a girl by the name of Sayahem. If I pronounce her name right, it's called Sayahem, and she's actually part of the royal family, and she was being held hostage. That's kind of why this little thing dragged on that long, and why, wintertime hit, and people started deserting, because this was a long forgotten little heist per se, little holdup. Now, we really don't know the true identity of the actual bandits, so I can't really describe them. But moving on past that, we do find out there are man-eating demons that appear out of nowhere, and they start killing everyone that's part of the army, I guess, or the military. Yeah, and both Kei and Ginpachi were strucken. Now, apparently they said they should have died, but they didn't. They end up living. And apparently each one of them now has a bead. One called the Brotherhood, the other one's called Faith. Now, I don't know who owns which bead, but now they cannot die. They literally tried doing suicide once they got back, and they found out they're like immortal. I don't know if they age, but they tried cutting themselves, and it just re-healed. They can't die. So I thought that was kind of interesting, but a little more clarification would be nice, Where is this clarification? So we are taken to a different scene, more or less another flashback, and it's with Rio. Apparently Rio actually saved Sayahem, which was that... We don't know if she's a princess, but she's part of the royal family, so apparently Rio jumped in at the last moment after the military was, I guess, defeated, per se, and he actually saved Sayahem. Now, the only reason why he jumped in at the last moment is because the imperial family begged him to save one of their family members. I'm like, but he could have done that anytime he wanted to, and he waited until the last minute? What? What a lazy SOB. So we are taken to a different scene with Saren. Now, apparently he's talking with his master, and we really don't... I'll be honest, he's just bullshitting with his master, giving him the updates on what's happening and everything, and we find out his master was a little stunned or shocked to know about how Saren actually knew about Marisame, which is that crow that can talk. And I know it's all just rumors, but he's like, kind of sounds like, Saren, what's up? Why are you so intrigued by this type of... That's kind of where the scene takes us. And Saren, he's leaving the room. He's like, okay, I'm done with you. Our talk is done. And, his master turns around and says, your brother is a lot stronger than you. He's like comparing Saren to his older brother. And that pisses Saren off. But we don't get to see what he does, but you do know he turns around and it looks like he either killed his master or he did something because he was pissed. But again, that's where we end that little scene. So we are taken to a different scene with Saren, and apparently he is using his bugs to spy on both, Kei and Ginpachi. So he hasn't stopped checking the rumors out yet. So we're taken to a different scene with Hamaji and Kanam. And I just thought this was worth mentioning. They're leaving the school that Hamaji will be attending, I guess. And this is what I thought was kind of... I didn't want to see this because it wasn't worth watching, but we see Hamaji and she's getting... looks like cut on the face by those bugs that Saren has. Yeah, and we actually see we see Kanam take the defensive role, and he's like, turns around and he uses... I didn't know he could use these guys. I mean, he summons, it looks like Ginkgo, and Ginkgo, I guess, is one of the foxes, and Ginkgo kills all the bugs, and I thought this was like, what? He looks all serious, and he's like, I don't know how to describe it, because we see Kanam, and he knows all about Saren in general. I'm like, well, how do you know about Saren? Well, what's the connection there? He turns around, it's like he's going after him type of an attitude. I'm like, whoa, what did I miss here? So we're taken to a different scene with Saren, and we see him, I guess, another scene with his master and him talking. Well, not so much as talking. We see Saren with a few of the Brotherhood members, or should I say the monks, checking out their master. He's like, yeah, we no longer need our master's approval anymore because he's no longer of sound mind. So we know as of now, Saren did something to his master because his master is on the floor and not looking at anyone, and he's not even talking. So Saren, you did something. I can't wait to find out what, or I hope we get to find out how you did it, because I'm a little baffled. I'm like, you didn't kill him. Did you use your bugs to jump inside of him, do something to him? And we don't really know. However, the Brotherhood is on the move thanks to Saren. So they're going after, Kei and everyone else in general. So we are taken to a different scene with Ginpachi, and like I said at the beginning of the episode, we see that furry little monster. Well, now we have a real name for this monster. Apparently Ginpachi names the furry little monster, or this little furry eyeball, Megu, and it's spelled M-E-G-U, so it's Megu is this little furry monster. So I guess he's going to be a pet, and he's probably going to be in this series for a little while, because he seems like a pretty good member to have if you're kind of you know, if you can't swim or you need someone that expands. But just putting that out there. So, but we are taking to a different scene with Saren. Now, Saren is with, obviously he's with the Brotherhood, and he's attacking Kay and everyone else. They show up and they start lighting fire on everything else, and I was like, so he just wrecked the party. He's a freaking party pooper. I'm like, what the hell? Saren, what's your problem? What's your problem? Aren't you supposed to be a good guy? You're a monk? No. But anyways, he's with the Brotherhood, and he's attacking Kay, Shino, and everyone else. So we're taking to a different scene. Now, apparently, Genpachi is right there. He's ready to go, and he's being told, and I was like, Saren, he's talking to Saren. You see Genpachi and Saren, they're actually talking. And Saren tells Genpachi, yeah, you know your fiance knew? She was pregnant with another man's child. I'm like, Saren, how would you know that? Are you the possible father? We don't really know, because we don't get a lot of clarification there either. So we're taken to a different scene. Now apparently, you know, Nu, which is Genpachi's fiance, because she had another man's baby and she actually thought that Genpachi was dead, she jumps off of the bridge in the river, so she commits suicide because she couldn't live with herself. I mean, that's kind of, I don't know, suicidal's not really the way to go, but we find out because of what she did, Genpachi tries doing, he's kind of suicidal as well, and he tries killing himself as well, but that doesn't work because with his new powers, you know, it doesn't allow him to die. He keeps re-healing, so it's a no-go. He tries killing himself with a gun, with a knife. It doesn't really work, so we have to take a different scene with Genpachi and Kay, and they just lose it. After we hear Saren give that little speech about Nu, we see Genpachi, he loses it, and then we see his best friend, which would have been his brother-in-law, technically, which is Kay, turn into demons. Both of them, not one of them, but both of them, they just lose it and they transform. Like, it just got good. So we're taking to a different scene with Saren, and I guess apparently he's missing an arm. Saren's missing an arm, and he's just walking around, and the whole area is all on fire because Shino jumped in, obviously, and he did his thing. Now we find out Kanam appears out of nowhere. Like, Kanam, what the hell are you doing, Kanam? He appears out of nowhere, and he's like, yeah, Saren, I took care of your bugs. I'm here for payback. I'm like, wait, what's this? Wait, Kanam, what's that? You're his brother? Saren and Kanam are brothers? I heard him say Nissan, which is brother technically. I'm like, so apparently Saren's older brother is Kanam. Now I'm curious, what was the birthright that Kanam took from Saren to begin with? That we really don't know. Now I should point out, Shino at this time is putting out the fire, so Shino's playing fireman right now. Now we are taking to a different scene toward the end of the episode, and I should point out, after everything is said and done with, Genpachi basically says openly, I'm done with Nu. She's forgiven. Wherever she rests, she's forgiven. So Genpachi is okay with what his fiance did. It's a done deal. However, we do find out he has a new love interest, and it's Shino. He looks over because Shino's checking on him, like literally hovering over. It's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's like, oh my god, love interest there. Genpachi and Shino, what? And again, that's where the episode ends. As for my final thoughts, well, first of all, where is Genpachi going with this love interest with Shino? Oh, we really don't know. Now, as for Saren, what was the birthright that your brother Kanam took from you? What was it? We really don't know. And Saren, did you do something to Nu at all, you know, which is Genpachi's fiance? Were you the father? We really don't know. But that ends it for my final thoughts. As per my rating, 4 out of 5. I loved where it went. I want to give this a 3.5 out of 5, but the romance at the end was hilarious, at least the opening for it. As for fighting, wasn't really there, but the information kind of was. But I'm still feeling a 4 out of 5, so final rating, 4 out of 5. But that is it for my walkthrough review of Hakkenden 8 Dogs of the East, Episode 4. But definitely comment down below, let me know, thumbs up, thumbs down, definitely subscribe, check me out on Twitter, and follow me if you like. But let me know what you thought of this episode, and let me know what you think's going to happen in the next episode that's coming out. I can't wait to find out myself. But again, guys, that ends it for now. And I got one more walkthrough review to do today, technically. Got one more, so definitely stay tuned for that. And before I go, I have to say it, and I always say it. You can't stop the access, but you can watch the feed. I'll see you later, guys.